Good morning, everybody. Welcome to DCC Today. And look, I'm back in Washington once again. It was kind of fun doing a couple of those episodes on the road as we were driving home. I don't know if you noticed on Wednesday's episode, as I was finishing up recording that, Burnett was being my camera person, but as we were finishing up, there was a guy in a stunt plane that started flying directly over our heads. And so I was hoping he'd go someplace else to finish doing his stunts, but he stayed with us, so you got treated to the sound of the airplane on Wednesday's episode. But it's Friday. You made it through the week. We've made it home, and it is great to be back with you. I was out in the desert, and so I thought a fitting photo would be this one that Kurt Bidinger had sent some time ago. It's a photo of his wife, Jerry, out in the desert of the United Arab Emirates. So, pretty incredible landscape out there. Kurt, thanks for sending that to us. A few announcements. Sunday, you can join us online at dcchurch.org or via DVD or come to our 9 a.m. in-person service. And you don't need reservations for that. We're going to be starting this new series on the book of Job. So I hope you can join us Sunday for that. Also, this Sunday is the last Sunday of the month. Can you believe it? The following week, Sunday's going to be November 1st. This is the last Sunday of the month. And that means that it is a communion Sunday. So if you are joining us at home for Sunday worship, you might want to have your elements prepared. Something for the bread and for the cup, and we'll be remembering the Lord's table together. Then coming up next week, there is a new women's study starting using Andy Stanley's course, a 3-session course called Prepared. And so if you are part of the Tuesday night group or the Thursday morning women's group, that's starting next week. Living Water International. On Wednesday, I told you that we had raised over $4,000 toward Living Water International. And it turns out I was wrong. Right now, it is over $5,000, which was our original goal, was to raise $5,000 as part of Living Water's 30-year gala. And so a huge thank you to all of you who have given to this. We love the work that Living Water does in providing wells to impoverished areas that don't have good drinking water. And along with that, sharing the good news of Jesus, the living water of life. So thank you so much for being part of that. And I told you that we still have some mugs available. Some of those nice DCC mugs that came out in your gift bags. If you would like to get another mug for a friend or for your own family, or more than one mug, we still have some left. And we're going to take any money that's raised from the sale of those mugs and donate that to Living Water. So we're asking for a donation of at least $25 or more, and all the proceeds from that will go to Living Water. And we also have winners for our mug shots. You've been sending in pictures the last several weeks, those of you with your new mugs. And today the staff sat down, we went through all the pictures. I think there were at least 38 of them, and we have 5 winners. Let me share the winners with you quickly.
Greta Beitzel. And you'll note that Greta is apparently getting ready to go down and face whatever tears there may be underneath the house, suited up for work. But that makes me wonder, where is Willis? Oh yeah, Willis must be outside playing with the camera. So somehow Willis got Greta to go and do the work under the house. Nice job, Willis. Next up, we have a couple of shady characters. This is a mugshot of mugshots. Mark and Sue Shasma. Very creative. Thank you, guys. And then we have the very cute baby picture sent in by Sandy Vandaway. And Sandy, my only question is, do you think that the baby is maybe a little young to have her own coffee card? Just a question. And then we have a shared trophy for Joan Ross and Jeannie McCandy. And I am sorry, ladies, you don't get 2 $10 gift certificates. You will have to go out to coffee together, and you can each have a $5 drink. And then last but not least, showing that you can maintain balance even during a pandemic, we have Janie Funston. So well done, Janie. Nice job, all of you. Thanks for sending in your mugshots.
By the way, if you haven't added your own photo to DC Connect, DC Connect is our online directory, and if you're a regular part of DCC, you should have access to that. And in your personal profile, there's a place to add your photo. And I just got to tell you, for us as staff, that is tremendously helpful. I'm sure that you're great with names and you can always remember which names go with which faces. However, some of us aren't quite that good at it. And every now and then I hear a name and I'm thinking, what's the face that goes with it? And so if you haven't yet added a photo to your DC Connect profile, if you would do that, I would sure appreciate it. Don't be shy. Don't say, oh, I don't want a picture up there. Just go ahead and put one in. And if you don't know how to add it yourself, just send it to the church office. Send us an email, send us a text, drop it by the office, a physical photo if you need to. Be sure you've got your name with it, and the office can take care of that for you. So that would be a wonderful thing if we could get more photos added into our directory. How about a devotional thought for the day? This comes from Luke chapter 12, verse 15. It says, "Take care and be on your guard against all covetousness," wanting other people's stuff. "For one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." I want to show you a brief little video clip here. This was something that we saw on our drive home. We were driving along Highway 20 coming out of Bend, Oregon, and this is where some of the big forest fires happened. And as you look at that, you can see that there are so many homes and businesses that have been completely lost, burned to the ground. And it just made me think, besides great sadness for these communities, these families who have lost homes, businesses, it also got me thinking about how much of our life is spent trying to obtain and maintain all of these combustible things. And Jesus says, be on your guard against a life that becomes consumed with wanting more stuff. Because stuff goes away, stuff falls apart, stuff burns. What are the things that matter most? What are the things that are eternal? And that is our soul, our relationship with God. Is that what gets the primary attention, or are we too busy trying to hang on to all of our combustibles? Well, our interview today, it's Friday again, and I've been sharing with you over the past several weeks some of Glenn Brown's life story, and we're going to have another segment of that today.
In 1953, I received orders to Germany, and I was assigned as initially a platoon leader with a quartermaster unit in Baumholder, Germany, and later became a detachment commander with my own troops. In 1954, I was planning a trip to the Holy Land, and the senior chaplain at Baumholder and I were planning this together, and it was looming as a great finale to my time in Germany, because I would be going home in September. This was in July. I got a call from the Red Cross agent that was there at the military base early July, and he asked me to come to his office. Well, usually it wasn't a good sign when you got a call from the Red Cross, and I was wondering what had happened at home. I got there, and he gave me the message that my 6-year-old brother had been tragically killed in an auto tragedy. A teenage girl driving past the home where we lived. My brother had darted out into the road, and she had hit him and crushed his skull. He had lingered for a part of a day, or perhaps overnight, but he had died from his injuries. And so this was crushing news to me. This was the hardest thing that I had ever experienced. Much more difficult in one sense than my sister's death, because I'd been so much younger. But I had just adored this little baby brother. He was 20 years younger than I, but we had been able to spend some time together. He'd come out with the folks to Denver to visit me. We had driven all the way across country together when I had taken he and Mom back to North Carolina. And I just wept bitterly. I could not contain my grief and my tears. And I got a message as to when the funeral would be, and I applied for emergency leave. Now, the Army had a policy that only those who were immediate family would qualify for a person to receive emergency leave, and they listed parents and spouses as the only immediate family, and brothers and sisters didn't count. I was so determined to get emergency leave that I had my Jeep, Army Jeep that was assigned to me, and I drove it to 7th Army headquarters to appeal to the general, and made my appeal, and it was denied. This was a across-the-board regulation, and they would not make exceptions. So I was devastated. I couldn't go home to his funeral. I let Mother know. And she said, well, son, you go ahead with your planned trip to the Holy Land. And I'd already made plans. I had my leave approved. And so the chaplain and I left. Fortunately, we were able to get much of the transportation via military airplanes. And we flew to Egypt. There we did the usual tourist things, riding the camels out to the pyramids. And one of the fascinating things are spending time in the museum in Cairo. We went to our hotel, and we're going to take showers and cool off, because they ate late dinners. We could get dinner till 11 o'clock. And so we had time to get dinner after showering. And now this chaplain friend that I was traveling with was not the most handsome of guys. He was bald in front, and had a pot belly, and was quite tall. And he was stripped down to nothing, and getting ready to go in the shower, and in comes the little maid. And there he is in all of his chaplain's glory, and he is mortified. He jumps into a closet, pulls the door before him, and the maid is completely nonplussed. She just goes about her business, lays out the fresh toiletries and whatever she was going to do, and it was totally inconsequential to her. But to him, it was a big thing, and I was just laughing and enjoying it all. But we had a delightful time in Athens, and from there we went back to Rome again, spent time in Rome, and then back to Germany, and all in all, it was a great time of touring, only lessened by the fact that it followed on the heels of my brother's death. I was discharged from the Army in 1954, September, and came back to Denver. While I was in college, I was youth leader of a large church in Denver, and God then was really speaking to me about entering the ministry. So I had already said that if that's what he told me to do, I would do it. And I came back from Germany looking for a seminary. Now, I'd gone to the University of Denver, which has Methodist roots, and there was a seminary right on the university campus called Iliff. Iliff is known as the most liberal of seminaries that the Methodists have. But I was familiar. I knew one of the professors there because he had taught me in a religious course in religion in college. And so it was the only seminary that I knew about in Denver, and I knew I wanted to go to school in Denver, unless the Lord led otherwise. And so I went to Iliff and told them I was interested in enrolling, and looked at their list of courses and so on. I didn't see any courses in Greek and Hebrew. I told the lady, I said, now I want the biblical languages. I think that's important. And she said, oh, we don't offer the biblical languages. She said, now there's a fairly new seminary in town that I think does offer the Hebrew and Greek. It was the Conservative Baptist Seminary that had been established in 1950. So I went to the Conservative Baptist Seminary, and yes, they had the languages, and they agreed to enroll me, and so I got in seminary. This was, I was too late to get in the first quarter, but I got in the second quarter. It started in December, and got enrolled, and when I had come back from Germany, the church elected me to be the youth leader again, and so I knew the kids, and it was a fun group. There was quite a large group of them. But the Lord began to deal with me. There was lots of talent in this big church, and He said, Glenn, you need to get established as a pastor. Well, I wasn't too thrilled about that because I enjoyed being with young people. But I said, okay. And I discovered that there was a little community way up in the mountains, about 90 miles from Denver, across the pass, that the district had tried to get a church started maybe 2 or 3 years before. They had a shell of a building that didn't have any siding. I think it needed a roof and a few incidentals. Was totally in need of a interior sheetrock and all of those things. And so, but I was young, and it was a challenge, and so I decided that I would attempt to get a church started in Granby. I spent a lot of time that first summer just putting on exterior siding and getting the roof repaired. They'd had tar paper on the roof, and the wind had blown that pretty much off, and learned how to put sheetrock on a ceiling with nobody to help you. My dad taught me that, and it was a lot of hard work. But then when we got a building equipped so that we could actually have people inside, I appealed to my youth group in Denver, and a number of them came up and knocked on doors. Went all around. This town only had maybe 1,000 people, so it wasn't too many doors. And we got first a group of kids, Sunday school. And God blessed, and eventually we got a nice-sized congregation. There was only one other church in town, and so there wasn't much competition. And we stayed there 5 years, got the church finished, built a parsonage, got married after graduation from seminary, and took Donna up to the church. I'd been there 3 years when we got married, and then the next 2 years we were there together in the parsonage, and I went from there into the Navy.
Thanks for joining us. I trust you have a great Friday and look forward to having you join us Sunday morning for worship. We'll be back here again Monday morning with another episode of DCC Today. And until then, be blessed.